For our plant physiology project, we tested the effects of soil acidity on plant physiological processes in tomato plants. When the atmosphere becomes polluted with increased concentrations of carbon, sulfur, and nitric oxides, acid rain conditions occur. While natural rainwater has a pH of 6.5, acid rain can be of pH 5 or lower. This can have severe consequences because pH level affects the solubility of nutrients within the soil and ultimately their availability to plants for uptake. We wanted to see how increased soil acidity affects not only nutrient uptake in plants, but how severely physiological processes are altered, such as water transport and photosynthesis.
To test this, we set up 4 different groups of tomato plants in a controlled setting in one of the Themen greenhouses. We watered each individual group with different acidic solutions. We expected to see a decreasing trend in stomatoconductance, stomatodensity, and chlorophyll content from the control group to the 3.5 treatment group. We also expected to see smaller xylem conduit size and density correlated with increased acidity.
The acidic solutions were created using white distilled vinegar with a pH of 2.99 and distilled water with a pH of 7.0. We measured different ratio solutions with a pH meter until desired pHs were reached. In the making of the solutions, only 50 milliliters of the 2 gallons of vinegar purchased were used. We watered the plants with 20 milliliters of each solution, 3 times a week over the course of a 3-week period. In order to get precise results, we used the same 4 plants from each treatment group to measure chlorophyll content, stomatoconductance, and stomatodensity.
In our overall physiological observation, we noticed a change in leaf color. The leaves turned yellow and purple. We noticed that the treatment group 3.5 and 4.5 had higher concentration of yellow and purple leaves. The changes observed in our tomato leaves indicate several nutrient deficiencies. Yellowing leaves is an indicator of nitrogen deficiency. The lack of nitrogen uptake in the soil causes plants to reroute nitrogen in older leaves and transfer it to younger developing leaves. Purple leaves is an indicator of phosphorus deficiency. This was seen in higher rates in the treatment group 4.5 and 3.5, which is consistent with the decline in nutrient levels. We measured leaf chlorophyll content with the Apogee chlorophyll meter. The 3.5 group had the lowest level of chlorophyll content, while the 4.5 group seemed to have the highest levels of chlorophyll content. The data shows decreasing trend between acidity and chlorophyll content, with the exception of the 4.5 group being an outlier. The outlying data for group 4.5 can be attributed to the lack of yellow leaves that had fallen off in one treatment plant.
We measure stomatoconductance using the porometer. Our data additionally seems to show a trend between stomatoconductance and the acidity of pH. Although there seems to be a trend, the 5.5 group is an outlier. The differences observed in stomatoconductance indicate there is a negative correlation between the acidity and a plant's ability to perform photorespiration. Although group 5.5 seems to have the highest level of photorespiration, this could be due to our small sample size.
We measured stomatodensity, collecting 3 different leaflet peels from each group. Our results indicated a correlation between stomatodensity and acidity, with 5.5 being an outlier. The decrease of stomatodensity in relation to the decrease of pH supports our hypothesis.
We were unable to measure xylem conduit size and compare between groups. Based only on the observational comparisons of cross-sections, we see no significant evidence that higher acid levels have an effect on the physiological properties of xylem. This goes against our hypothesis because we assume that the more acidic the solution was, the greater the impact it would have on the physiology of our tomatoes.
We can conclude that soils with increased acidity levels reduce a plant's ability to perform photosynthesis, the essential process for plant growth and survival. This is especially important for cities with extreme and increasing levels of air pollution. Increasing levels of acid rain will have severe consequences to the freshwater systems of the watershed and especially on agriculture. This supports the need for using clean burning fuels and reducing levels of air pollution.